right, y'all, this is going to be a mini rant revelation. Like, God has really been teaching me about classes, has teaching me about aptitudes, is teaching me about when we came here. Now, I don't know, even maybe because this can be tribal. So we're going all the way back to our tribe origins. If we came from a particular tribe, we come from all kinds of places, but I'm speaking from the notion that we all came from Africa and came over on the ships, and that's how we ended up in America. I know that's not everybody's story, but that's the premise or the ideal that I'm speaking from. All right, so we had particular roles within our tribes and different strengths that were strengthened within our tribe. Then they captured us, brought us over, and yes, they may have put a warrior in the kitchen and they were probably struggling, and maybe they were like, okay, you're better suited here. So I will say that they probably, this is all theory, they probably placed people where they wanted to. Like, if you were a light-skinned warrior, you were going to be in the house because you're light-skinned. This is all, I wasn't around, but I'm just saying, but if they took the light-skinned warrior and put the light-skinned warrior in the house, and the light-skinned warrior was struggling in the house, instead of teaching the warrior how to be efficient in the house, if they weren't getting it, they put them somewhere else. And so I do believe your aptitude from your origins did play a slight role, depending on the cognition of the plantation owner, to know, okay, I can use you most efficiently here. Not where I want you, where can you be most efficient for me? And that's just a lesson upon a lesson. It's not about what you want. It's about efficiency. So you trying to dictate and control your environment, you need to get efficient. Okay, I want you here, but you're most efficient here. So go over there and then do it how I want. You still get what you want, but they get what they want too. It's a partnership. All right, so hold on. All right, so now depending on your role on the plantation, in the wherever you worked, if you were free black, whatever your origin story is here in America. Now, that is what is, my friend said, it's almost like it's genetic. It is. We think genetics is just the actual genes and DNA and the stuff. No, what's also coded in us is survival, is aptitude, it's all these different things that is what is passed on through legacy, which it becomes genetic. Okay, so these people, are passing on whatever it is. So if you were an individual who was allowed to learn, you were allowed to learn how to read, because in the efficiency, the most effectiveness, I need you to know how to read. So I know nobody else can learn how to read, but I need you to know how to read because I need to use you in this capacity. So the literacy was actually prized and given to you and gifted to you, and you saw how much the world opened up once you became literate. Okay, and so now when you have offspring, because you have the aptitude to train them, and then now the plantation owner can utilize your offspring the same way they utilize you, they're allowed to read. And so now literacy is lovingly passed down as a tool through your generations. So now you get to current generations, because it is coded in our generation, or into our DNA, into our genetics. That's the G word I was looking for. It's coded into our genetics. Literacy is something that is prized. It is something that is valued. It is something that causes mobility. It opens doors, all these different things. That is what is passed down genetically. People don't have to say it. We just know it because of the way we move, the way that we've always moved since our origins in this country. Now there are people who associate literacy with death. There are people who are more physically inclined and didn't even look at a book because they didn't even know what a book was, and now we're talking origin story, American origin story. They don't even know what a book was. So now when they have offspring, they're mandigos are fighters, they're breeders or whatever. They're all these different things. They're maid servants or, nursing babies. These things, these people need to know how to read. They had to be nurturing, maternal, great, caretakers, those types of things. So fast forward to present day. Now we're looking at how we move as a people through exposure. Exposure is important. I failed kindergarten. I dropped out of the 8th grade. I'm sitting here as an educator who holds her master's degree. How did I go from a child that nobody taught me about education, the value of education, even though I come from people? I'm doctors, not doctors, but people who hold their doctoral degrees. I don't think anybody has a bachelor's degree in my family. We all have masters. I have my master's not because I was like, I'm going to get my master's because we get our masters around here. I got my master's because, I was just like, I want to be a teacher now, and I already have a bachelor, so I guess I got to go get my master's. That's how I got my master's. But once I got the exposure, once I knew it was possible, because it is coded in my DNA, I pulled up. So we have to pay attention to the limitations where there's so much going on. There's so many points here. It's like I can't put it all in a video. But we have to pay attention because social economical standings will place us all in the same box, because this is modern day slavery and, you all got to make slave wages, which means someone like me in my legacy where education and literacy is very important is standing right next to someone where physicality is important. Someone right next to me where, they had to hustle, sneak, and lie, and deception is there. So we're standing next to each other, all these people with these different innate aptitudes genetically coded in them. We're placed into the same school system with the same teachers that look at us all as if we're the same, but we're not. That's why you find it's a student where you're just like, he just opened up. I have 3 black boys in my classroom right now. All 3 of them are at different stages of illiteracy, but I can look at all 3 of them and say, okay, literacy is in your DNA, because all I had to let him know is, you could teach yourself how to read, and this boy been teaching himself how to read ever since. Another one where I was just like, you need to learn how to read. He was like, I want to play. Okay, so literacy is not coded in your DNA, but I'm going to figure out how to reach you another way. And then the other one, he's actually sped, so I haven't had an opportunity to sit down with him and see where he's at, but my basic interactions with him, and just because someone's sped doesn't mean that they're incapable of learning. He doesn't want to learn, period. And his parents aren't raising him in that way, right? If I had a child that was cognitively delayed, impaired, not all there, I don't know the correct language, but I don't want to be offensive, I would still teach him. You're going to learn what you can. I'm teaching Caden how to speak. I didn't just accept, you're going to speak how you speak. No, I was like, First I put him in speech therapy, and then I watched the speech therapist. So I was like, all you doing is showing him flashcards. I could do that. Pulled him up out of speech therapy because he wasn't ready. He wasn't mature for it. And then when I got ready to put him back in speech therapy, Spirit was like, just teach him how to read. And when I started teaching him the letters and the letter sounds, and I was just like, if I tell him it's a D, he's going to know it's D. If I tell him it's an M, he's going to know it's M. So when he's starting all his words with D's, and I was like, that word starts with the M, son. He knows how to now M. So I'm teaching my son how to read because it's coded in my DNA for us to teach ourselves. So we have to just really pay attention to how we're looking at each other and we're judging each other, especially when just like, you can't do this. Well, no, I can't. And some of us actually have I can't think of what the word, but we don't want to. We don't want to learn. We don't want to learn because somewhere in our ancestral line, our people were killed for learning. Somewhere in our ancestral line, we didn't even know books existed. Somewhere in our ancestral line, somewhere in our ancestral line, somewhere in our ancestral line. And we know that because of the type of people we are through exposure. Some of us know slinging our dangling and spreading our legs is not what we're supposed to do. And once we learn something different, we stop. We were a product of our environment. Then once we figured out, we don't have to do that, we stop. But there's some of us, even through exposure, we still spreading it wide and slinging it far. So it is genetic. And we need to understand we're not just black people. We come from all these different classes and we're just grouped together socioeconomically. But through exposure, we understand that we have a higher aptitude than the aptitude that we have previously demonstrated. And that's the key. We must expose ourselves through knowledge, through watching the right content. And through that exposure, now we start teaching ourselves. That's how it works.